talented staff. I am going to be the representation of the fantasy challenged members of competition, where most often our choices are not so good.
Now, Quinn Hudson was a member of the Fantasy Gods
Yes,
congregation.
He was the congregation.
He was part of the
Yes.
congregation last year. He was part of he was a listener.
Yes.
And he auditioned for the Rock the Mic contest, which
True.
I won the year before.
Yep.
And Quinn ended up winning, which was great because I remember when they got down to the final four and I looked up who was there. I was like, I recognize that name. He was in the Fantasy Gods Listener League, which is being resurrected.
It is being resurrected.
Yes.
And I think everybody needs to be on the lookout for that. Everybody needs to be on the lookout for the future because that league gets competitive. And what we've seen is you and I make our bold predictions, our sleeper picks. And last year we did not have a very good draft as far as where we were drafting. And I mean, we saw our picks fly off the board very, very fast.
Yeah, we did the draft over Zoom last year, and it was so funny. Someone would pick a player that we really liked and then look at the camera like we know what you were thinking.
That's
Of
right.
course you knew what we were thinking.
Yeah, we told you.
But man, last season was very successful. This was a very popular show on San Antonio Sports Star, what is now the San Antonio Sports Star. And we were giving people some advice that worked out very well and making people money.
It did. We were making people a lot of money. I don't know, Quinn, if you were listening to that sorts, if you were gambling, but if you did, Quinn, it made up for what you were losing in that fantasy league.
Without question. I don't do the daily fantasy pools, but I definitely was in money leagues, and a lot of times you would talk about waiver wires, and that was like hot for me, and that allowed me to pick up people and be ahead of the thing.
So right now we're looking at a listener league being next Saturday.
Yes.
And I think tentatively we're looking at the Rue Pub at 10 a.m., going there for some breakfast and beers.
Oh,
sounds like a plan. You can meet everybody there because after that league draft, we're going to have the draft for the station as well. Right. So you'll be able to meet Rob Thompson, Jason Minix, Rudy J. If you hang around long enough, that sounds like fun.
Yeah, absolutely. You get to meet all the talents, quote unquote talent of untalented individuals that
James
we all get to bring to the table. But we're going to be there having some drinks, having some food, having a good time, and drafting the best to our abilities. I think I'm excited to see what Rob Thompson does because Rob Thompson just told us he wanted J.K. Dobbins and not looking too good anymore, Rob Thompson. So
sleeper league.
Not sleeper. That boy has been slept for these seasons.
Yeah,
so.
J.K. Dobbins, running back from the Baltimore Ravens, carted off the field yesterday. So we're going to be talking about injuries and COVID. Ryan Tannehill.
Oh my goodness.
How does that impact the draft, knowing that he's not going to be there for the last week of training camp? Might be there for week one, but the last week of training camp, he's off. He can't practice.
Yeah, that's gonna be a tough one. But obviously, Ryan Tannehill is somebody I know we'll talk about whenever we get to talking about quarterbacks. Not the sexiest pick, dude, but the dude has been a top 10 quarterback the past 2 years. Very, very sleeper-esque, where you could get him in those late rounds. And I know you and I have disagreed quite a bit on if you can win a championship without a top 6, top 7 quarterback.
Yeah.
But that's somebody that definitely is there available if need be once those big names fly off the board.
Well, let's talk about that. People listen to the Fantasy Gods because they want to know who they should draft, who they should start, who should they sit. And a great question that was posed to me on Twitter this week was, who is the worst quarterback that you can have on your roster and you still feel confident that you can win your league?
Mm-hmm.
And I know that in past years, there have been tiers like tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, tier 4 when it comes to quarterbacks, and they were very well pronounced, right? You knew that if you had a Peyton Manning or Aaron Rodgers in his prime or Tom Brady in his prime, that you were going to have the top 3 quarterbacks out there. But right now, I don't think there's a tier 1.
Yeah.
I think that there's like a big 7 to 8 quarterback thing going on, this blob there, where any one of them could be the number 1 quarterback this year.
Can't you argue that outside of Patrick Mahomes, that Tannehill probably has the best run pass option?
Oh, easily. Yeah, I think so. I mean, also with Julio Jones going over there, absolutely. I mean, you have 2 pass options now versus just your 1. I think Tannehill is a very slept-on quarterback. I mean, you can even look at the GOAT. I mean, Tom Brady's going in, those late 8, 9, 7, 8, 9 rounds. I mean, you can definitely find some value at quarterback, but that's not always the case. You might want to take, those upfront quarterbacks early on because you're looking to get that upfront value. If you take a Patrick Mahomes, Patrick Mahomes is going to give you Patrick Mahomes value. You can't expect that from Ryan Tannehill at the same case.
Gotcha.
Well, Tannehill does have Julio Jones though,
right? I mean,
and that's a new wrinkle to the whole thing.
And he's always used the tight end, so you've got that as well. So I feel like if I had to go with a worse quarterback, I mean, Tannehill's not a terrible quarterback,
not at all.
But I feel like that would be one you can get in the later rounds and still feel like you can still compete.
Yeah. And Mahomes, interesting part of last season was that towards the end of the regular season, or the playoffs, if you will, of fantasy football, he wasn't throwing it into the end zone. He was protecting the ball a lot more often. So I look at these names here: Mahomes, Josh Allen, Russell Wilson, rather, Kyler Murray, Lamar Jackson, Dak Prescott, Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, Ryan Tannehill. Those are names right there where I think either of them could be the number one quarterback this season when it comes to points for a variety of different reasons. Russell Wilson is somebody that I would not necessarily think of anymore because I think he's kind of going downward with his production.
Yeah.
But he has new offensive weapons. And you take a look at Dak Prescott. Man, would you take a flyer on Dak Prescott early on?
Yes, because this is the year of the Lamb. See, Lamb is going to be the go-to receiver, in my opinion, on the Dallas Cowboys. I'd rather have Lamb on my fantasy team than Cooper.
You said that? You said this is the year of the Lamb, and I was like, I just went to a Chinese restaurant. I didn't see nothing about no year. I don't know what you're talking about, but I was like, excuse me? No, I agree. CeeDee Lamb's going to have I think he's definitely poised for a breakout season, and although I'm not a Cowboys fan, we have the Cowboys banner hanging behind me on screen, but I personally took that chance, and Dak Prescott last year looked incredible before the injury. He was looking to break every record possible, basically, for fantasy football. Got injured. I think if there's anybody who's dealt with more adversity, it's Dak Prescott. I mean, when you're dealing with losses personally, when you're dealing with the stress and the anxiety and the depression that he has dealt with, I think you can't bet against Dak Prescott. Now, with that being said, too high for my liking. I'm not taking Dak Prescott where he's going, but I think if you do, I truly believe Dak Prescott, when healthy, will be a top 5 quarterback.
Yeah, I'm staying away from Dak.
Yeah, I'm not taking him either. But if you want to,
I'm staying away from him for three reasons. One is there are alternatives out there that could be just as good. Okay. Number 2, injury. And number 3, Cowboy fan. Okay. 2 things about Cowboy fans. I don't want to suddenly have to become a Cowboy fan in order to get Dak Prescott because I'm not a fan of the team.
Yeah.
But
they take him early.
They take him early.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is that and that's one of the things about fantasy football. We should go over like our commandments of fantasy football. Right?
Yeah, we should do that. Let's do that then.
So commandment number 1 for me is thou shalt know how your league is scored.
Oh, there it is. That's number 1 always.
Oh, yeah.
That's number 1.
And somewhere in there, commandment 5 or 6 is thou shalt not overvalue your favorite team players.
That's also correct. I agree 100%. I would not pick Dak Prescott, even though I believe, and I noticed there's a listener chiming in saying that they were 1 and 3 overrated, but if you watch those games, if those were, hey, you know what? Dak Prescott was not Van Der Esch. He was not the defensive coordinator. He could not stop the run. He certainly could not stop the pass. He was not the accountable for that. Well, he put his numbers up. He did his part.
100%. And to that point, though, it's like, maybe you're right. Maybe they were overrated, but I could care less about the Cowboys' record as long as you're fantasy viable.
Right.
I mean, there's plenty of people that are James Robinson was a great fantasy running back. I was not expecting Jacksonville to be in the Super Bowl. So, I mean, that's just how it's going to be. You're going to have bad teams produce great fantasy football players.
Yeah, this is like the Spider-Man multi-universe, right?
Yes.
Like on one end, you're talking about fantasy, and the other one, you're talking about the real life head-to-head, competitive in the NFL, and those aren't always synonymous to the same thing.
If you know how your league is scored, you will have to know the difference between what a PPR league is and a standard league.
And how much is it half PPR, full? Those are big differences.
Which ones do you like?
So I like full PPR, but I know you like half. You're not a big full point.
Because I don't like the fact that you can get a point and lose yards. You can get a reception for -2 yards and get a point. To me, that makes absolutely no sense. The auction league that I was supposed to be in this year, but I had to go evacuate my daughter from Louisiana, so I had to skip that draft, gave a full PPR if a reception resulted in a first down. I love that. That's a great wrinkle to the whole scoring system. But you need to know how it's scored. And especially when it comes to, when it comes to running backs and receivers, that PPR is a big deal because, Derrick Henry is huge in a standard league, But in a PPR league, he doesn't catch a lot of passes.
Right.
Yeah.
He really doesn't. Austin Eckler is kind of like a second or third rounder in a standard league, but is a, fringe end of the first round pick in a PPR league because he catches 80 balls a year.
Yeah.
Right.
So know how it's scored. And also when it comes to quarterbacks, are you getting 4 points for a touchdown? Are you getting 6? Are you getting bonus
it's a big
points?
difference. Yeah.
Are you getting bonus points for 40 yards or more, which means like Mahomes and Jameis,
Rodgers. I mean, you've seen those guys. Yeah,
exactly.
Well, even Tony Ornelas on Facebook said he agrees with the half PPR. And again, that's points per reception. For me, my commandment would kind of go along with yours when it comes to not over analyzing your own team. But mine is also don't reach over ADP. Like ADP, average draft projection, is there for a reason. There's no need to take Stephon Diggs at the end of the first round, knowing he's going to be available at the third. Make sure you're because people like their players, and I agree with making tiers. Me and Michael will reach on a few players, but me and Michael will never reach 2-3 rounds above what they're supposed to be going.
Okay, so now here's where I represent the masses, right? That often make the biggest mistake in a draft. If I'm picking, let's say, out of 16 people, I'm picking 12.
Yeah,
I'm gonna make a decision that I know that the first top tier picks are gonna be gone, although quality picks still remain.
Right.
So I'm gonna have a strategy. I then want to have the best tight end. I then want to have the number one wide receiver, possibly, because I won't be necessarily have the best quarterback or the go-to quarterback or running back by the time it comes back around. So it would look like I'm picking ahead of where they would be their projection, but I'm actually doing it so that I can have leverage on the back end of the draft.
When you're drafting 11 or 12 in your league, you have to be a little bit more strategic. I like where you're going with that. I understand it. I'm not going to fault it because, especially when it comes to tight ends, there's a big drop off after the top 5.
Massive.
Huge drop off. By the way, people are already responding. Christopher Lewis, Fong Nguyen, Tony Ornelas, Jose Bolanos. Thank you so much for following us on Facebook Live. You can also reach out to us on Twitter. I'm at 210 Fantasy God. Quinn is at Quinn Hudson. Brandon, do you have a new handle?
Yeah, at Brandon_ESPN SA. Feel free to follow us. Chime in on the show. Make sure
Poppy's gone.
Yeah, hey, listen, Big Poppy's still there in your hearts and in your minds. We're still there, but just to make it a little bit more official for the Fantasy God second run, you know what I mean?
Understood.
I'm a dad now. You have to come, babe. You have to come around.
You are Poppy.
Now I'm a Poppy. There's no need to tell him. You know now.
That's what's up.
If you want in our fantasy league, DM us. Let us know that you want in. We'll reach out to you with details later on in the week. Maybe we'll have at least one league, possibly 2.
Yeah, Christopher Lewis just asked about that. What is the point system for our listener league? Do you have an idea just
I'm
yet?
I'm thinking half PPR.
Okay, that's fair.
At least it's a nice middle ground.
Right in the middle. And then I know we have a question about the number 1 pick. Who should I pick? Go for it.
Well, you know what? Let's talk about that when we come back.
All right, let's do it.
When we come back, we're going to be talking about running backs. 2 big running back injuries to talk about. One happened last night. One happened earlier in the week. We're also going to give our sleepers when it comes to quarterbacks and running backs in this next segment. You're listening to the Fantasy Gods on the San Antonio Sports Star.
America's Diamond offers our 5-year, 60-month financing program every day of the year. You don't have to wait for a sale to get 5-year financing with credit approval, or wait for a sale to get our guaranteed America's Diamond price, because we treat everyone fairly and with respect every day of the year. For almost 40 years, we have designed and created our extraordinary diamond jewelry right here in San Antonio. When you buy at America's Diamond, your money stays in San Antonio. Our whole company is located here and locally owned. Our kids and grandkids go to school here. All 40 of our coworkers live and shop in San Antonio for everything. Through the years, America's Diamond has supported thousands of wonderful charity events in San Antonio. We're the official jeweler of the San Antonio Spurs and of the University of Texas at San Antonio Athletics. See our television program about diamonds and jewelry tonight on ABC KSAT 12 at 12:35 a.m. or see it right now at americasdiamond.com.
Welcome to Texas, where your backside will sizzle like bacon when you get in your car, unless you go to Mother's Window Tint, home of the Tint and Alarm Special, where you can also buy a new car stereo. Since 1984, Mother's Window Tint has tinted cars and trucks to keep them cooler and stop the sun from damaging their interiors. Texans like dark privacy window tint. Come to Mother's and get some. Legal and guaranteed a lifetime. Remember to protect yourself and your family. Buy an auto alarm today from Mothers. Starter kill, remote start, GPS locator, 24-hour live monitoring. Save $100 on the tint and alarm package of your choice. Austin and San Antonio stores. MothersWindowTint.com. Remember, do it at Mothers and save.
This is the story of Daniel, who was born 2 months early. He weighed 1 pound, 7 ounces. His lungs weren't ready. His heart wasn't ready. His brain wasn't ready. At the hospital, the nurses said Daniel was a fighter, and they would do all they could to help him. The doctor said even with the best care, Daniel may never walk. He may never see. He may never learn. Daniel's parents spent night after night at the hospital, watching his every breath, holding his tiny hands, and looking for signs that he was growing stronger. At home, his parents looked around Daniel's empty nursery, at the quiet toys and the still rocker, and they hoped that one day they could sit in that rocking chair and tell this story to their very healthy son. Daniel's is just one of the more than 500,000 stories of babies born prematurely last year, but there's hope for a happy ending. The March of Dimes is funding the research and programs to stop premature birth. You can help bring more babies home healthy. Learn how at marchofdimes.com. Working together for stronger, healthier babies.
San Antonio, how are we feeling? The fantasy gods are alive. The church is open. I am Brandon Big Papi Medina, here with my fellow fantasy gods, Michael Jimenez, and the newly crowned fantasy god, Mr. Quinn Hudson. Happy Sunday, gentlemen. How are we feeling?
Oh, I'm feeling great. Not only is church open, but the phone lines are too.
The phone lines are open. Please give us a call. Ask those fantasy questions. Ask if you have a draft today. A lot of people do. What are you thinking about doing? Hit us up on the phone line, 656-3776. That's 656-ESPN. Ooh. Here we go.
It's here, baby.
It's here.
It's here.
Don't wait. Don't hesitate. Don't vacillate, baby.
That's right.
Come in with it.
Come
The
in.
season's almost here.
We-
It's draft time. Let's go.
Mr. Wynn over here asked a question here. I have the number one pick. Who should I pick? And I'm going to say, I don't care if it's a PPR league or a standard league. The answers should all be the same. On three, let's all say it at one time.
Don't disappoint me.
1, 2, 3.
Christian
McCaffrey.
McCaffrey.
There
Yes.
you go. We
There you
all
go.
agree.
And we did not plan that.
We did not plan it.
Did
Christian
not plan that.
McCaffrey is the number one. And I'm hesitant about drafting running backs after injury, which is why I hated Saquon Barkley so much last
You got
season.
auto drafted Saquon Barkley.
Yes, my kid had COVID, and all of a sudden I didn't realize that we were on a timer. And I come downstairs and I'm checking on him. I come downstairs and I'm like, no, I got auto drafted Saquon. I would stay away from Saquon Barkley. I would stay away from Zeke Elliott this year.
Yeah.
There are certain players I will stay away from, but Carolina uses Christian McCaffrey so much, he has to be your number one pick.
I will admit that I'm a little scorned. I had him last year in a money league, and if you recall, when he came back from injury, the Panthers kind of David Robinson him with the Tim Duncan trade, and basically where he was kind of available, but they kind of this nuance of he's not going to play, and so he had these scratches games that he could have played, and it just made you didn't want to drop him, but you kept hoping that he could save you at the last part of the season. Oh man,
it was craziness. Now I know that again, the Kielbasa Bacon phone lines are open. If you have a question on where to draft somebody, if you have a question on you've already done your draft, how did I do? Who should I have taken?
Yeah.
Absolutely. If you have questions about any of that, please give us a call. We love talking to our fans, talking to guys out there in the trenches playing fantasy football. But that opens up a good segue. When Christian McCaffrey went down, we got to watch a lot of Mike Davis. And now when it comes to our running back and quarterback sleepers, I started off, gentlemen, Mike Davis is my number one sleeper. He is getting drafted way too late for being the guy in Atlanta. I mean, he is going to be the last running back taken that has a starting job on their squad. And I think rightfully so. I understand there's questions around him, but he catches passes, great running back. They're going to be playing from behind, and all you have is really in Kyle Pitts right now. I truly believe he could be a PPR specialist and be at least an RB3 flex value.
I feel so bad for people who do drafts before this weekend. I've never understood why people draft 2 or 3 weeks before the season starts because there are always injuries.
Oh, I told you I was in a groomsman draft. We drafted in mid-July. Wild. So somebody took, of course, Cam Akers in like the second round. You saw the J.K. Dobbins go, all of that. So that's been hectic. But I agree. I would never draft unless it's this weekend or next weekend.
Yeah. So J.K. Dobbins carted off the field yesterday with a knee injury, and Gus Edwards is suddenly
pushed into the limelight.
Pushed into it. Could be a top 15 running back, and it would not be surprised if he goes end of the second round, beginning of the third.
Yeah,
because they're protecting the ball a bit more often over there. He's if Dobbins was going to be a top 15 running back, there's nothing to say that Gus Edwards can't. Which goes to another commandment of mine, which is thou shalt draft your studs back up. If you have Dalvin Cook as your running back, you go get Alexander Mattison, or if you do not have that stud and you're trying to fill out the rest of your roster, the last 2 or 3 rounds, instead of getting the next best player like on projections on the top of the board, I start going after the backup players. I go after Tony Pollard. I go after Alexander Mattison. I go after McCaffrey's backup. I go after, just because when one of them goes down, suddenly I'm holding a gem that is trade value.
Right, you're taking someone else's attachment, basically.
Yes, and you know what? Our boy Mikey Cordero over there on Facebook said he picked up Gus last night. So there we go.
There you go.
Hey, good for you, brother. Now we're rolling.
Waiver wire's open.
Waiver wire is open. Listen, the bank is open, and we are cashing checks, baby. So with that being said, what are some of the picks you guys are looking at in those later rounds? If you guys know their ADP, don't know their ADP, who are just some running backs you like? I'm going to say Mike Davis. And early projection, here we go, brother. You ready for this? Ready for this bomb dropping early, Michael?
That's it.
My number 1 sleeper of the year, Javonte Williams over in Denver. I am taking him in every single draft I can. I love him. I think he's going to be the starting back over there in Denver. Super talented kid. I like what I'm hearing from camp. I like what I'm seeing when he's playing in preseason. That's my guy as far as running backs go. Him and Michael Carter are pretty close, but I do think he's going to be the starting back not so long into the season.
I think later rounds you could get a Kenyon Drake.
I was going to say Drake.
That's way later. Yeah, PPR too.
Kenyon Drake from the Raiders. I mean, you have to be a believer in Josh Jacobs and his health, but Kenyon Drake is too good to not be on the field.
Yeah,
and so I take a look at him. Interesting seeing that Travis Etienne went down, rookie from Clemson. He was going to be the starter for the Jaguars, and all of a sudden, he gets hurt and he's out. And you're having to see, James Robinson come back in. And it was weird because James Robinson had a really good rookie season last year.
100%.
A really good season.
Nobody drafted him, too. That was a free agent pickup.
Came out of nowhere. And then they brought in Etienne, and all of a sudden, Robinson's draft stock was kind of low.
Yeah.
And now, I think he goes off the board probably, top 18 or so?
Okay, easily. So let me ask you guys. So when did the nuance part of that narrative? I get that he's now moved up in depth chart,
right?
But just Brandon, as you spoke of Davis in Atlanta, that Atlanta's not going to have the passing game they had before.
Yep.
They're going to lean on this much, so teams going to key on that as much. Then does that actually diminish the value? Same thing with Jacksonville, a shaky offensive line. They're going to try to protect the quarterback. They're going to try to run more, and teams are going to load up to stop that. Does that diminish that value of that running back, even if they are higher in the depth chart?
I hear what you're saying, man. I think Trevor Lawrence is a great prospect that we're all very excited to see what he does in the regular season. Gardner Minshew liked throwing to James Robinson. He was a PPR, very good running back. He had weeks where there was one week, remind me if I'm wrong, but I think he had like a 40-something point week one time against Miami. Myles Gaskin, another guy that was undrafted last year and, it's good this year. So I think with James Robinson, I get your point. I do think when you have a bad offensive line, most of the time, especially the rookie quarterback, you're going to be playing from behind. And James Robinson is a great play from behind running back because he can get in space, catch those balls, move forward. But also, I think the fantasy gods, one of the most least liked players that we have in all of our leagues. And unfortunately, he's not going to be drafted, but he's going to be eating into it. It's just a parasite. And that is Carlos Hyde is also there. And the parasite of Carlos Hyde always eats into some carries for whatever reason. So be wary of taking James Robinson too early.
There is another parasite to talk to you about. And it was a trade that was involved that came down a couple of days ago. Sony Michel.
Yeah. Oh, God.
Traded from the Patriots to the Rams.
Yeah. I'm an Xbox guy, so I don't play with anything Sony, so I just don't even trust Sony Michel. So.
I'm Xbox too, man.
So Darrell Henderson Jr., if you have him, guess what? You just lost about 100 carries there because Sony Michel's too good to be taken off the field.
Well, and I think Darrell Henderson might be the 3 down back, but then Sony Michel's taking all the goal line carries. He's going to take all those early, in range there in the goal line. So I think Sony Michel's going to eat into that draft stock tremendously. I don't want any part of the Rams backfield. I haven't wanted any part for quite a while. I wanted Cam Akers. That's the most unfortunate injury for him because he looked to have a breakout season. But for Sony Michel and Darrell Henderson, too much drama for me. I'm not trying to jump into that.
Yeah, James White of the Patriots might go up. Hey, another trade yesterday. Gardner Minshew.
Well, let me see what you think, quick, because you were just talking about this. So we were just talking before we did the show. You're a believer, a firm believer at that Gardner Minshew can take over that quarterback position.
I do. I think he demonstrated a lot and showed his versatility with a very shaky team last year. And I do believe he is a starting quarterback in this league. Obviously not in the top half of that, but I believe for Philadelphia, this is an upgrade. Minshew better than Hurts. I feel like I would rather have him under center to start the season, even though he probably won't.
Yeah, traded from Jacksonville to the Philadelphia Eagles for a 6th-round pick. Might be a 5th rounder when it's all said and done, depending on the playing time that Minshew has. Man, this is fun. This show's going by fast.
Oh, it's flying. I know we just had another question coming from Sean Harris. Not a question, but a statement, I guess.
Yes.
He said, I picked Lamar Jackson as my QB. We don't know anymore. I don't know when he picked him. If it was in the 1st round, that's going to be roughing it out. But he did say he got some really good the rest of the positions with guys that either rush or catch pretty well with RBs, wide receivers, tight ends, for a good amount of receptions and targets. Should I be okay? You'll be okay. But if you took Lamar in the 1st round or even in the 2nd, I think you're going to be okay. But the odds of you winning the championship are going to definitely depend on your waiver wire pickups because that means you missed out on a top 15 running back, and those are scarce.
Here's my take on that, Sean. So this is where I'm a kindred spirit, so we'll both either be sinking on the same boat or not. I like Lamar Jackson. I feel like his rush yards offset his passing yards. I do believe Baltimore is going to have a more formidable passing game this year. Yeah. I expect Lamar Jackson to also increase in his passing, his accuracy, and downfield throws. So I think the run pass option is going to be great for him. And I believe that you're going to be able to get the points that can compete with Lamar Jackson with any other quarterback in the league. You're head to head.
Lamar Jackson with back-to-back seasons of 1,000 yards rushing, back-to-back seasons with 7 touchdowns on the ground. But if you're going to get a running quarterback, I'm sorry, but Josh Allen's the one that I would want.
I would take Josh Allen over Lamar Jackson in fantasy football for sure, as I would take Patrick Mahomes. So if you took Lamar, Sean Harris, I hope that wasn't the first quarterback off the board is what I'm saying.
Okay. I got you.
If that's the 3rd quarterback and you're in the 2nd round, I have zero problem. If you're the 4th pick and you took Lamar Jackson, there's a bigger issue.
Sean Harris has got him in the 6th round.
Oh,
that's
winning, baby.
Value. Yes.
You're winning.
Major value. Sean, good job. You're probably definitely up in this league. So
good times.
Betting with house money.
Hey, let's talk some divas when we come back. The diva positions, the wide receivers.
Oh, yeah.
We've already, I know that Quinn is all about CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah, but I play him. In a perfect world, I'd have him in my flex. So it's all good.
Let's talk some wideouts and even more specific, the rookie wideouts. Which one do we think is going to break out? This is the Fantasy Gods on the San Antonio Sports Star, ESPN SA 1250, 94.5 FM.
Liberty Mutual Insurance Company presents and Doug.
Check it out, Limu, a roadside carnival.
Step right up, folks. Test your strength. Come see the fire-breathing baby.
Let's fan out and tell people that Liberty Mutual customizes your car insurance so you only pay for what you need.
Look, an emo wearing sunglasses.
Limu, you're famous. Only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
If we formed our own country, it would be the 3rd largest on earth. We're more than the entire English-speaking world. We're people with disabilities, and we're 15% of the world. That's over 1 billion people. You should see it everywhere. As colleagues, friends, celebrities, politicians, teachers, as people. But are we 15% of your world? To break down the barriers that keep us apart, visit WeThe15.org.
You've been putting back a few, and a few becomes a few too many.
For a moment, you think of calling for a ride, but nah, you live nearby. What's the worst that could happen? You get pulled over, your insurance goes up, you lose your license, you total your car, you kill someone. The results of driving drunk are tragic. That's why law enforcement is out there looking for impaired drivers to save lives. So if you think you're okay to drive after a few drinks, think again. Drive sober or get pulled over. Paid for by NHTSA.
Your experience matters. At University of Phoenix, relevant life experience and eligible transfer credits can help you earn your degree faster and for less. In fact, undergrads who apply these credits, on average, save about 1 year and $11,000. Get the credit you deserve for time spent in the classroom, on the job, and in life. And see how much you can save at phoenix.edu. That's phoenix.edu.
Everyone here knows Diamonds Direct is the place to go for the best diamonds at the best prices. But did you know that savvy buyers from all over America, even Los Angeles and New York, now come here to buy their diamonds? These high-end shoppers have discovered that Diamonds Direct has one of America's best selections of large, rare diamonds, from 3 carats to 20 carats, all certified by the GIA, the most reputable and most trusted gem lab in the world. Because of Diamonds Direct's international connections and tremendous buying power, we're one of only a handful of jewelry stores in America that is able to offer a large selection of rare and precious GIA diamonds. In fact, Diamonds Direct's multi-million-dollar selection includes a stunning array of high-end Riviera necklaces, 20-carat tennis bracelets, and an extraordinary collection of rare, precious gemstones, rubies, sapphires, emeralds, and even the really hard-to-find fancy yellow diamonds. Come see why Diamonds Direct right here is the destination for high-end shoppers all over America. Extraordinary selection, quality, and unmatched value. And a short drive for you. Diamonds Direct, official jeweler of the Dallas Cowboys at the shops at La Cantera.
San Antonio, it might be a little cloudy, but that doesn't mean you should not have some barbacoa and Big Red on the table ready to roll. Have some meat on the grill. It's going to be a beautiful rest of the day. And I think this next week, all we're worried for is just getting excited to see what's coming up. You know, fantasy football is right here. Real life NFL is right around the corner. This is a beautiful time of the year. This is our favorite time of the year.
It's my favorite time of the year because summer is over. I hate 100-degree weather or close to it. I like it when it gets a little bit chilly. Same. High school football started this past weekend.
Right.
Yes. It's just different. The feel. I mean, think about it. We're only a couple of months away from Halloween.
Yeah.
3 months away from Thanksgiving. 4 months away from Christmas.
Use Blue Quinn's mind. Use Blue Quinn's mind over there.
This is the best time of the year. It is starting.
I don't even think Christmas.
College football has started.
Yes.
Yeah. Also, Rob Thompson over there hanging out. This in the back of it. Just so you know, Rob, Vikings Cowboys on Halloween night. So I'm ready for that one. So me and Rob gonna be talking some trash. Me and Quinn too. But obviously, me and Michael, we have our banter because, of course, the Vikings own the Saints as it has become over the past few years. But
I'm gonna be like a Cowboy fan here. Yeah, but at least the Saints have won a title.
Exactly.
This century. I said this century because the Cowboys haven't won one this century.
Yeah. And so I would say, keep that same energy. We can say it 4 more times.
But you have to be like 70 years old to remember it. But were they leather helmets back then?
Guess what? Only one of our grandfathers know when our team still won. My grandfather saw my team win.
It is this
your
swagger.
Grandfather didn't see your team win.
It is this swagger.
My daddy saw my team win, and I saw my team win. My daughter saw my team win. You see how this works? It's generational, baby.
Yeah, as in they haven't won one in the past generation.
Yeah, literally. Quinn, I turned 25 on August 10th. In my entire life, never once have I seen a good Cowboys
team. You ain't never seen nobody on the moon, but you know what happened.
I love it. Okay, guys. So we're talking wide receivers, tight ends, and we are shooting straight for the moon when it comes to who you need to be drafting. And then after this, our final segment, the one you've been waiting for, who do you need to stay away from?
Yeah.
Because drafts are happening this week. They're happening this next weekend. This is the time to know who should you not be looking at. Who should you be skipping out on? All that good stuff when it comes to wide receivers and tight ends, gentlemen. What are we thinking? What's a wide receiver that is on your mind that's going late that you think could be a really nice sleeper in addition to your team?
I'll let you go first because I know you want to talk about CD.
No,
you like CD.
No, that's
CD's not going late though. CD jumped up. That ADP moved quick.
I'll take a Rondale Moore.
Okay.
All right. I feel like, one of the things about the Texans that was fascinating is the other receivers ate, right? When they were playing around a great receiver. And I feel like this year the Cardinals are going to be more versatile. They're going to have to make these throws. They're going to have a full offseason camp. And I believe that he's going to be a recipient. He's an electric player. What he does is he gets up the field, and he's going to be the one that's going to be the beneficiary of rolling coverages that gives him the freedom on that. So to me, that would be a receiver that I would want to take.
Now, this isn't a name that I'm going to take early on, but I like these wide receiver 3, wide receiver 4 conversations. Jamison Crowder is somebody that I think, and then Corey Davis going to the Jets as well.
That's big.
Those are two names that Zach Wilson, two big receivers that Zach Wilson can throw to.
Yeah.
And they're going to be down. They're going to be losing. I think they're going to get a lot of yards right there. Jacoby Myers of the Patriots.
Yeah, I'll tell you also, that's a good pick. Because listen,
go ahead, Sean Harris. I see you.
I don't know if you saw Zach Wilson loved him some Corey Davis
He
this
did.
preseason. He got targeted, I think, like 8 times in that second preseason game. So I like that. Zach Wilson, those rookie quarterbacks have been looking real comfortable.
Yeah. Is it weird that I like Zach Wilson a little bit better than Trevor Lawrence right now? Trevor Lawrence.
I don't think it's weird at all. I think he's looked better for sure, at least so far from what we've seen.
Trevor Lawrence, he plays hero ball. This is like I see him and I see Jameis Winston when Winston first got into the league. Obviously better talented or more talented than Jameis Winston, but Jameis Winston would always try to be the hero and throw into tight pockets as opposed to being the smarter player.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm a little bit worried about Trevor Lawrence and his development so far this preseason.
Well, I mean, the thing is, Trevor Lawrence was already playing on a damn NFL team over there at Clemson. So I mean, he's already been seeing, this talent. But I will say, before I take my sleeper wide receiver, Tony Arnella said, "I'm excited to join the listener league. I hope you guys are in the league. I collect championships like I'm the RC Bue for the fantasy football." So I love that comment. Also, if we didn't make it clear, this listener league is not just for you guys. No.
We
the
are
fantasy gods will be in the building.
You think this is a game?
You think this is a game? No game.
This is
Zero games. We're playing for keeps. So just so you know.
A couple other names to throw out there. Jacoby Myers. If Mac Jones is the quarterback, he has to throw to somebody.
Yeah, he looks good.
He looks good, and Myers is going to be that guy. Donovan Peoples-Jones of the Browns.
Yeah.
He's someone to keep an eye on. Maybe not draft, but he might be somebody on the waiver wire. We saw Marquez Callaway for the Saints go off the other day.
Who else is there? I mean, you're going to have, but Michael Thomas obviously off and on injured, and then you got Traquan, but Callaway looks really good.
I'm going to throw a name out there, and I want to know what you think. He's suspended for 6 games, but would you draft or pick up a Will Fuller?
I don't want any part of Will Fuller.
And this is what I was talking about before. I liked Will Fuller not as a 1. I didn't like him even. I mean, as a 2, if he's paired with a dominant receiver. So no, given the risk reward, no, not for 6 games.
I mean, he has Devontae Parker and Jalen Waddle.
Yeah, it's tough.
So it's not like he's going to be like double teamed.
Yeah. So I will say, for me, one guy that I like, that I think, I mean, I'm a betting man. You guys know this. Michael knows this. We love betting here on the Fantasy Gods. And when it comes into regular season, we're going to be talking about those big bets and putting money on the line. And listen, when we give those bets out, we take them.
Yes.
It's not just for you to think. We take those bets too. We ride or die over here.
And we had 4 weeks last year where we had the top 1 percentile of a team for daily fantasy.
Yes.
We were rocking on that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
go for it. Real quick. There are 3 rookies drafted as wideouts. Who's going to have the bigger year? Jamar Chase, who came from LSU, was drafted 5th by the Bengals.
Yep.
Jalen Waddle of the Dolphins, drafted 6th out of Alabama. And Devontae Smith, who the Cowboys traded the rights for, or at least they swap spots in the draft. I know Quinn was really upset when this happened. The Cowboys pulled a trade with the Eagles. The Eagles selected Devontae Smith with the 10th pick out of the draft out of Alabama. Out of the 3, Devontae, Jalen, Jamar, who has the bigger year, and how pissed off are you that trade still happened?
I didn't like the trade because it was in division. I just didn't like it because it also was about the needs of that. So that's where that comes in. If I had to pick, I'm going to say Chase. I would expect Chase to have the better of the 3. I think they all have a lot of upside. I do think Burrow coming back, I do believe Cincinnati is going to have a more balanced attack this year. I do anticipate that, and I see Burrow showing some progress from year over year. So if there was a rookie out there that would be a beneficiary of that, it would be Chase.
So are we talking about who's going to be better real life or just fantasy? Fantasy wise, I'm putting all the stock in Devontae Smith.
Okay.
I Jamar Chase and Waddle are going too early for my like. Jamar Chase is going early. Like he's the first rookie off the draft every time, and he's going in like the 5th round, 6th round. Waddle's not going too far back. Devontae Smith, you can find if you're in a 10-team league, 12-team league, you can find the 12th, 13th round. I think at that price, that's where you can take a flyer at that time. So I like Devontae Smith. Also, he's the only one out of the 3 that has a legitimate opportunity to be the number 1 receiver on his team.
And that's it right there. That's why I think Devontae Smith is the answer to this one, because there's nobody around him that's as good, and he has the speed, and Jalen Hurts is better than what a lot of people think.
Yeah.
He is a good player out there. I think that the problem that you're going to have with Jamar Chase is that well, first of all, he has had a terrible preseason. He has cinder blocks for hands right now. He's just dropping everything to send his way. But he has T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd in front of him.
Yep.
I just think that Devontae Smith is going to be given the opportunity early. I think Chase is going to have a good season probably towards the end of the year. So maybe kind of hold on tight, or you stash him on the bench for a little while.
Yeah.
But I think that's the play.
So as an overthinker, this is where Devontae Smith. So
as an overthinker,
I'm definitely being an overthinker here. So I'm thinking, okay, he probably will be the first option. Hurts is a first read quarterback.
Yeah.
If you're a defense and you're talking tendencies, you take away first option. Doesn't that hurt his fantasy value?
It depends on how many targets he gets.
Gotcha.
I mean, if he gets 10 targets a week, he's going to come down with some of them, So, and I look at him and he's kind of a throwback to the Deshaun Jackson type of player that the Eagles had. If they utilize him in the same way, he's going to figure it out. But when we come back, let's end the show with something a little bit different. We talk about why you should be drafting certain players. Let's flip the script. Why you should avoid certain players. I think that's more important because you can't get the first 4 or 5 rounds wrong. It's very, very difficult to. But let's talk about players to avoid. Let's also touch on some tight ends, because I want to hear you say the name Hockenson one more time, because you fell in love last year.
I've been in love. Listen, I'm not in love. It's just a phase. No, I'm telling you, bro. Hockenson's my boy. I know. Before we get out of here, too, Darnell Mooney, Gabriel Davis are 2 that I'm really looking at, too, especially in those later rounds. So if you're a wide receiver pickup and you don't have them, those are some guys that are going to be breaking out, hopefully. But tight ends, get ready, because I'm preparing that Hockenson coming up.
Gabriel Davis, that is a good call.
Yeah.
Hey, this is the Fantasy Gods on the San Antonio Sports Star, ESPN AM 1250, 94.5 FM, and we're on the go at sasportstar.com.
Want to hear something amazing? Discover matches all the cash back you earn on your credit card at the end of your first year, automatically, dollar for dollar, with no limit on how much you can earn. Extra cash? Come on, how amazing is that? In fact, it's even more amazing when you realize all the places where Discover is accepted. 99% of places in the U.S. that take credit cards. So when it comes to Discover, get used to hearing yes more often. Learn more at discover.com/yes. 2021 Nielsen Report. Limitations apply.
Hey, San Antonio, it's time to get out and grill. This is Michael Kielbasa with Kielbasa Smoked Meats. Summer is here, and no backyard barbecue is complete without Kielbasa sausage. We handcraft them the old-fashioned way, the same way we have since 1949. You may want to buy a little extra because your family and guests will be coming back for seconds. Try us today. Find Kielbasa sausage at a store near you.
Welcome to Texas, where your backside will sizzle like bacon when you get in your car, unless you go to Mother's Window Tint, home of the Tint and Alarm Special, where you can also buy a new car stereo. Since 1984, Mother's Window Tint has tinted cars and trucks to keep them cooler and stop the sun from damaging their interiors. Texans like dark, privacy window tint. Come to Mother's and get some. legal and guaranteed a lifetime. Remember to protect yourself and your family. Buy an auto alarm today from Mothers. Starter kill, remote start, GPS locator, 24-hour live monitoring. Save $100 on the tint and alarm package of your choice. Austin and San Antonio stores. MothersWindowTint.com. Remember, do it at Mothers and save.
Adopt US Kids presents Multiple Choice Parenting.
Your daughter just had her first breakup. Do you A, put yourself in her shoes?
How could he do this to you? And for Sheila, she has split ends.
B, console her.
Oh, sweetie, this is going to happen a lot. 4, maybe 5 more times before you get married.
C, take charge.
Got to get this all straightened out. Keep a little talking to, man to man, mano a mano. Hey, Steve. It's now a good time? No? Okay, no problem. Bye.
Or D, help her find a new boyfriend.
I know a great place to meet boys. The internet. Nice, single boys. Never mind. How about some ice cream?
As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
San Antonio, I hope you're ready because fantasy football season is here. This is the Fantasy Gods. We are with you from 11 to noon today, 11 to 1, when those Cowboys, those America's team Cowboys, are playing. After 12, we'll be with you from 11 to 1. But today, 11 to noon, because we have preseason football, Cowboys in Jacksonville. But I am here with Michael Jimenez, Quinn Hudson. I'm Brandon Big Papi Medina. We're talking tight ends, and we're talking about my boy. Listen, you already know where I'm going with this, Michael Jimenez. Quinn, you were a listener of the show last year. You were a follower, and you were a league member in our listener league.
Yep.
TJ Hawkinson is my biggest crush in fantasy football. I mean, this is my boy. I will say I don't know I'm taking him this year because he's going pretty fast on boards. You know, he's going probably 3rd or 4th tight end off the board, but TJ Hawkinson is going to be absolutely dominant because who the hell else are you going to throw the ball to in Detroit? I'm a big fan. Other than that, tight ends we should be looking out for, gentlemen. What are you guys thinking? Where are you taking them?
Okay, so if I'm not getting the top 2 tight ends, because I like the strategy that Quinn was talking about, where if you are drafting at 12 and 13, you know, or the whip back around, or if you're drafting at 1 and you're coming back at 24, 25.
Yep.
Going after a tight end, like a lockdown stud tight end, a Kittle type of player, or a Kelsey, I get that.
Or Darren Waller. Don't forget about my boy.
Or Darren Waller. But if I was going to wait a little bit, 7th, 8th round, I'm going to see if Logan Thomas is available from the Washington football team. I mean, he broke out last season, had about 70 receptions, and now he's got Fitzmagic throwing the ball his way.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And you know, Fitzmagic.
That beard works wonders.
Fitzmagic. There'll be 3 games this season where he will throw for 400 yards because that's what he does. He's brilliant for 4 or 5 games and awful for about 12. I think that Logan Thomas is going to break out even more and become a top tier player.
Okay. What about you, Quinn? What do you think about what tight ends are you looking at? I know you have your usual position, like you said, and you told us in the earlier segment that you like to get one of those lockdown tight ends early. Is that usually how you go about it?
It would be if I was in the later rounds, as mentioned. If I can't get up there, if I can get Kelsey first, and I'm in later rounds, I would pick him. But if I'm down later on in the draft, Zach Ertz I would be okay with riding with. I believe he'll have improved. I'm always looking at what tight end benefits the quarterback, and I see Philadelphia leaning on that. I would take an Ingram. I believe Ingram in New York, this is his breakout year. He is one of those hybrid tight ends that technically is a matchup problem. He has been inconsistent, but now with Washington, I mean, with New York coming in, if Barkley is who he's supposed to be, that's going to open up that passing game. They've got down the field receivers, and Ingram now is running free. I believe that is going to be his breakout. So if I'm looking for something where I could actually get greater value for the place I pick them, it would be those kind of receivers.
So I've been doing some mock drafts. So I like to mock draft a lot before I go and do drafts, just because I play around. Let me see what happens if I take Kelsey at 8, or let me see what happens if I take Kamara at 1. Like maybe I want to just go a little crazy, right? I'm trying different strategies out. I will tell you this, the one strategy that has worked for me and I'm comfortable doing it this year, gentlemen, for the listener league, for my personal leagues, this is not a surprise. I am absolutely punting on the tight end position. I have no problem switching that position in, week out. But the number one guy I'm targeting, because he's going in 11, 12, 13th round. This is a sleeper. It's not a napper. This is a sleeper. Tyler Higbee is my boy.
Yeah.
Tyler Higbee is going so late, it's disrespectful. Tyler Higbee would be a fine pick. And following Tyler Higbee, if you want to take 2 tight ends and have one back up, or you just want one to go, especially if you're punting on it, Gerald Everett's also not a bad option too. He's there with Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson will throw to tight ends. We've seen him get work over there with the Rams. I do like that, but both of those coincide where Everett leaving now opens the door for Higbee to be the complete tight end they wanted.
Okay, so Tyler Higbee, just for those of you who don't know, is a tight end for the Rams. Put up some pretty good numbers with Jared Goff as the quarterback, but now he has Matthew Stafford throwing the ball.
And Stafford make Hawkinson a star, baby.
A better arm back there. So real fast, we've got about 4 minutes left in the show. We've talked about why you should draft certain players, but let's talk about why you should avoid certain players. Let's start with you, Brandon. Who are you avoiding this year? That there's no way in the world they're going to be on your team.
Yeah, so there's no way in the world that I will draft. Ready for this? I'm cutting out 2 teams completely. I will not have any Detroit Lions on my roster, and I will not have any San Francisco 49ers on my roster.
Wow.
Both of them, I'm completely Xing out unless I take the chance on Trey Lance. Aside from that, nothing to do with it. I don't like the running back cores. I don't want DeAndre Swift. I don't want the problems with that backfield in San Francisco. Kittle, who knows if he's going to be healthy coming up the season. He's always back and forth with that too. I just don't want any issues at all for my team. So for Detroit, San Francisco, if you're picking after me in our listener league, just know if you're looking at Detroit and San Francisco players, you got them, brother. I'm not taking them.
Who are you avoiding?
I'm avoiding the backfield of the Washington football team. I feel, and this is actually a
wait. Hold
on.
With Antonio, this is the Cowboy fan.
Okay,
pick.
yeah, no, it's not. What I mean by this is actually a compliment to the Washington football team. I believe they have a very talented backfield. I believe they will play a platooning system. I do believe game in and game out, you're going to see a lot of these running backs get touches, and that is going to take away the value. So that's why I would say I would not want any of those running backs to be my RB1 or 2, because you could not bank on it week in and week out. I do believe they're going to go with the hot hand in these games, and that's why I would not want them.
All right, so J.D. McKissick is the RB2 for the Washington football team.
Who got work. But Antonio Gibson was our number 1 breakout that we chose. I mean, he broke out.
We made people money last season by just talking up Gibson from the very beginning, because our show started weeks before this season started.
Mark this moment, please. Mark this moment.
Although I will say too, don't bring up, listen, me and Michael Jimenez have PTSD when we talk about Zach Moss and Devin Singletary. So please don't bring up those names. Those were never said. X that out. Listen, it was COVID. We might have been sick. Who knows? We were just mentally not there.
We were right 80% of the time, and that was part of the 20% right there. Hey, players that I'm going to avoid. I'm going to avoid Saquon Barkley. I'm sorry. He's damaged goods.
You're done with it? You're over it?
I'm done. I don't care if he's available and I'm drafting 12. Nah, I'll skip.
I have a question. I've been wanting to ask you this for a while, and now here we are in front of the masses.
Let's hear it.
Michael Thomas, sir. Is Michael Thomas worth taking in those early rounds?
And that's actually the next name.
Wow.
I was going to say, you avoid Michael Thomas this year.
You see the Saints gear.
Man.
Hey, listen, that's a real fan saying.
That's fantasy right there.
That's fantasy right there.
You
can't get it confused.
Get me some Traquan Smith. Get me some Marquez Callaway. Michael Thomas is damaged good in the heads right now. If he doesn't want to be there, then don't play. Okay? If you're going to be doing cryptic tweets and stuff like that, get off the field. I don't see him doing much of anything. And other players, Ezekiel Elliott, I'm going to avoid like the plague, because players don't have bounce back seasons as running backs. You go up the top in production and then you go all the way back down. He's had 4 years in a row of back-to-back lower yards per carry. It's going to continue. Pollard will become a bigger part of the offense. I'm going to avoid Matthew Stafford.
You always, you know what? You have this
No.
hatred towards Matthew Stafford.
This is his year.
Last year, what felt like yesterday, now that we're here, last year I told you, I said I'd be comfortable taking Matt Stafford as my quarterback. And now that's when we had the discussion of there's no way you can win a championship without a top tier quarterback. I disagreed. Now he's positioned as a very well-engineered top-tier quarterback with a great system, great weapons, and still Michael Jimenez hates Matt Stafford.
Stafford be top 5 this year.
He's just overrated,
you
man.
hear this?
But he's overrated. He's overrated.
Top 5 this
He
year.
is
Top
over-
five.
top
Whoa.
Fantasy.
Are we
Fantasy.
making bets? Are we starting to make
Yes.
something?
Wait. Is Dak Prescott going to be top 5 in fantasy
Yes.
for a quarterback
Oh,
position?
there's no
Yes.
Quinn.
Because that's another team.
Quinn, you're
That's
double
another player
dipping.
that I will avoid because I don't need a player that's only going to be on the field for 7 games this season.
Double dipping, Quinn.
Respect on it.
Wild.
This has been the fastest edition of the Fantasy Gods because that just flew by, man. This
Yeah,
is
oh my
so much
goodness.
fun. Again, DM us if you want to be part of the Listener League. We're scheduled for Saturday, 10 a.m. at the Rue Pub. We're going to be on the show from 11 to 1, but today we're cutting out at noon.
Go
Thanks for joining us, man.
We'll see y'all.
There's never any FOMO with the iHeartRadio app. You won't ever have to miss out on your favorite shows and contests with this radio station again. Radio 24/7,